What's up guys? Today we're going to check out If on 4K UHD. I'm not here to talk about how good or bad the movie is, I'm just going to share some thoughts on the audio and video quality. Now let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot in 6.5K. It's got either a 2K or 4K DI, I'm not totally sure. It's rated PG. Runtime is 104 minutes, aspect ratio is 1.85:1, and the audio is in Dolby Atmos. Before we take a look at the audio and see how active this mix is, if you don't know what the Atmos viewer is, you can find a link down below in this video's description that tells you all about it, what it does, and where to get it. You can also find a list of all the gear that I use for these 4K reviews down there as well. As you can see, this mix has 11 dynamic objects right here. And for most of the runtime, it plays as an 11-channel mix. 7 lower channels and 4 top channels. The wide channels and the second set of surrounds get very little usage. If you're using 6 top channels, most of the action will come out of the top middles, although there are a few times where all 6 channels do get used. If you want the most immersion, I'd stick with 4 tops, which you can see right here in this scene at 26 minutes in. There's a good musical number at 49 minutes that puts the lower channels to good use, and even the center surround lights up. The top channels, however, don't get used at all for this very big scene. And this is how most of the mix plays out. The lower channels get the most usage while the top channels seem like an afterthought. As for the bass response, there's a little reinforcement for the musical number, but I did have to check my subs to see if they are plugged in because there's not much happening in the LFE department. The dialogue was always easy to hear without any issues. And thank you to Kaleidoscape for supplying me with this copy of If so I could bring you, the home theater movie loving community, this 4K review. Now if you're tired of discs and you're interested in getting a Kaleidoscape, you can get one at our channel partner, Dream Media. Links can be found down below in this video's description. As for the video quality, this is a 4K crispy transfer. For the most part, there is a touch of softness to the image, but it is still very detailed. If you look at the work they put into the bear, you can see where parts of his fur is kind of worn out, and you can see the underlying mesh that's now exposed, so it's supposed to look like an old stuffed animal. Pores and wrinkles come through perfectly, as well as Ryan's very noticeable dyed hair, and the CG blended in great with the live action elements. As for the HDR, it's got a max CLL of 599 and a max FALL of 180, so it's not exactly an eye scorcher. It's still got a fairly bright overall image with a very natural color palette. The colorful parts of the movie are the imaginary friends and some of the imaginary worlds. They do have some colorful vibrancy. Specular highlights have good pop and sparkle from interior and exterior lights that does get very bright. The black levels didn't crush any shadow detail and does offer up solid contrast. It's an overall great looking transfer that's super detailed with pleasant HDR. I'd have to go with a 9.4 for video. For audio, most of the effects, or rather most of the musical score, resides within the lower channels. The top channels come on maybe 20-30% of the time, but as mentioned earlier, it's mostly music that gets thrown up top. There's not too much in the way of special surround effects that are moving throughout the different speakers, so this is not a surround heavy mix. And the bass was pretty much absent. I'm gonna go 7.5 for audio. Now this was based off of the Kaleidoscape version, which comes in at 61 gigs. So if you're holding off on grabbing the 4K Blu-ray, I'd assume they'd put it on a 66 gig disc. So what are your thoughts on the If 4K transfer? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Now if you do want to pick up this movie, I'll leave some links for it down below in this video's description. As always guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you again in the next video.